Hey everybody, welcome to GT Live. I'm your host, Brandon Jones. Today is all about King's Quest. We are playing King's Quest, we are giving away King's Quest, and we are speaking with the community manager for King's Quest, Nicole Zavalik. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
King's Quest, we're excited about King's Quest.
One more time, say the name one more time.
King's Quest.
Oh my god, we hit the quota. Okay, we're good. Should I wrap it up? Or
I would assume we would say King's Quest more than 5 times
it's just as long
throughout
as,
an hour-long
that's the
stream.
minimum, but after that, it's just gravy.
Is that job number 1 for you as community manager, to make sure as many people around the world are talking about or saying the word King's Quest over and over and over again? Well, I found that, so specifically, Elise Williams on the couch over there, Chibi Weezy in the chat. She's going to be giving out codes for both the PS4 and the Xbox One versions. And Steam. We had different versions of the game coming out. This is just Chapter 1. It is not the entire collection. Just Chapter 1, which just came out. A Night to Remember.
Yep.
Which we are playing. No way we're going to get through the entire thing, which we weren't sure about. When we put this on the calendar for GT Live, we were like, how long is this going to be? Is it going to be 45 minutes? Or are we going to have to stretch this first chapter? And Elise and I still have not finished the first chapter. Mr. Bloodworth over there, who's playing it for us, has completed it. But that's because, the adjective I used before the show was beefy.
Right, yeah. So a lot of people think that when they hear the term episodic, which is not what we're calling this, because it's chapters, totally different.
Totally.
You read chapters, you watch episodes, completely different. But when they hear that, they think that they're going to get a small game that's going to have a kind of like a part of a story, and then we're going to ask them to pay to play the rest of the story. Whereas with this, you're really going to get a complete story within this chapter that's part of this bigger story that's going to take place over the complete collection.
And again, more complete than I thought. I thought this was one evening. I was like, I'll just sit down with my wife and we'll play through it. And she's a big King's Quest fan. She might be joining us at some point later this evening, just kind of running in to check the game out. My wife.
Okay.
Thank you. Who I like to mention on occasion. Also want to mention that you've been involved with game trailers before. You just recently appeared on Ladies in the Lobby, which Elise produced.
That was fun.
And you were involved in I Love Last Gen when we did that.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
That was fun. Yeah, I've been doing stuff with game trailers for a few years every now and then, and I love them. Love you guys.
Game trailers, the peoples. Not necessarily,
Right.
You also like game trailers.
But yeah, like the entity, but
Right.
also like the noun.
We don't expect anyone to be confused about that.
Sure.
Because game trailers means lots of different things.
Yeah.
and
I
nothing
want
at
to be
the same
thorough,
time.
so.
But actually, Elise put together a little package. I don't know if you have that ready, Ian, of some of your finer moments.
No, really?
On Ladies in the Lobby. Can we roll
With
that, Ian?
audio?
Yes, with audio, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Should have audio. If it doesn't, you just...
I'll just talk over it, yeah. Adorable things.
All right, here it comes. Wait, that's the wrong...
Wait,
That's
No,
the wrong
no,
thing.
Wait.
Why did it do that?
Ian,
I'd
wait.
make baked Alaskas,
There we
I would
go.
order pizzas, and then I would murder my children. Now, there's a few ways to murder your children. If you don't want to try very hard and you're not really into The Sims, then you can just build a pool and take out the ladder. That's for slackers. That's not for real gamers. The one game I could never beat as a kid was Mystical Ninja Gomen, and it was this like Japanese N64 game, and we would rent it from Blockbuster every weekend, and it was one of those games that like didn't save to the cartridge. You had to have like a memory card, which we never bought for some reason. I don't know, we were like 9, whatever. And so every weekend we would have to play through the same sequence over and over and over again, because Blockbuster would wipe the game, and then we'd memorize it and get like a little bit farther, and then a little bit farther, and we never even got like halfway through it. I never hesitate when I have the blue shell. Like, I don't even understand how people get upset about using the blue shell. The blue shell was bestowed to you by the computer gods, and you use it the second you get it. It doesn't matter who's in first place. This is a game and you play to win. And if you're gonna lose, then you play to make the winners' lives a little more tough. Actually, I've done some research on this one, and I'm sorry, Nathan Drake, I know you really love the Banana Republic, but your khakis really aren't going to match up to, let's see, the Mjolnir Power Assault armor. Yeah, I don't think your khakis are going to cut it against that. Yeah, what kind of power grid does your khakis have? Maybe I'll upload myself into Hearthstone and I'll just be like a card. I'll just be like a card. And like you'll flip it over and it'll be like my face, but I'll be dead, so it'll be like this. Do they bury people like this? Or are they just vampires? I don't know, but this is what my Hearthstone card's gonna be.
Thank you very much, Elise Willems, for packaging those moments. So you were doing a lot of that when Ladies in the Lobby was being produced. You were just watching women be funny for extended periods of time.
Primarily me.
And just picking out the best funny, right?
Yeah, it was so great because I just got to laugh all day at the same things over and over again. Mostly Nicole, but the other women as well. 'Cause
They're
they were all
great. They're great.
So I have to admit, you excel in those moments, and I love Last Gen and Ladies in the Lobby. I think your cutaways are the best. I remember you saying some obsessive things about Skyrim when we talked about.
That's a serious problem I have.
So what kind of attitude do you have usually going into videos like that?
Just be myself as possible. Just be because I have this inner monologue in my head all the time that's super narcissistic and neurotic and all these horrible obsessive things. And I'm like, just go for it. Just be that out loud.
I was trying to put narcissistic and neurotic together, but I couldn't do it on the
Here
top
it
of my
is.
head. Neurocistic.
Narcissistic.
That sounds
Nice.
like something I need to have removed.
Masterotic.
So congratulations, you are the first community manager specifically that we've had
Wow.
here on GC Live.
Do I a ribbon?
No, but Elise,
I
can we
get
put
a
that on the
ribbon?
list? Can we get ribbons made?
Ribbons?
That'd be great.
Yeah.
First appearance?
Thanks.
How long have you been community manager? Have you had different roles in your career in the games industry, or is community management something you've specifically focused on?
This was my first community manager specific role. I've been working at The Odd Gentleman for almost 2 years. And prior to that, I worked, at Shack News as for writer, producer person. And I worked at G4 for 3.5 years. And I worked for GamePro and @Gamer and just various gaming blogs for the past 7 or 8 years.
Did you get to voluntarily move from any of those entities to other ones, or were they all kind of shufflings, not on your behalf? It was just kind of
At G4, I moved from social media manager to games editor because I really wanted it.
Cool.
I remember I took Patrick Klepek's job when he left, and ever since then I've been Patrick Klepek, you're the best, because A, he's an amazing journalist, but also him moving on meant I could have a job.
That's usually
it was
usually
just
how that works.
all this oh, I love you.
So you're just waiting for somebody at Odd Gentleman to leave, and then you're just going to take over their
Just
gig.
go right on up.
So when you came in at Odd Gentleman, were they already working on King's Quest? Did you go there maybe because you knew they were working on this?
No,
or no?
we were in the pitching process.
Okay.
Yeah, so we knew about it, and we knew that it was a possibility, but we didn't have it yet. And it was shortly after I came on, though, that we started brainstorming for how to do this.
So we can get to that because that's a huge question. We'll talk about the game specifically in a little bit. Is this just from memory, Blood, or you just kind of run into, because you know what to do now, right? Is there any any kind of improvisation happening now, or you just
No,
check
well,
the
I
boxes?
did die on purpose because it was funny as heck. So
We had our bet settled just there.
Oh yeah,
We got our first item.
I don't know if I want to bring that up.
a wooden
A day in
handle.
advance.
Wooden handle is the first thing you put in the inventory. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know the bet, right? Because Elise was going to contact you directly
She did.
Oh,
in regards
yeah.
to the GT Time bet. How many letters would be in the first item that you pick up and add to your inventory in King's
Yeah.
Quest?
Yeah.
Which I won. Thank you very much.
Wow, did you get a ribbon?
I
really love to
didn't
get
get a
ribbons
ribbon.
here.
Okay, so where does this ribbon
I don't know, they're just so
obsession come
pretty,
from?
they're shiny, they go with everything.
You
No?
don't have any ribbons on. I mean, how many?
I
do
know
you-
that, Elise.
Is it?
I wouldn't say a ribbon is shiny. A ribbon might have a sheen. If there's a metal attached to it, the metal might
satin
be shiny.
fabric
You could have a matte
usually.
ribbon.
That's what I'm saying. That's a sheen. It's not shine.
I think sheen and shine are pretty close.
It depends. Depends on how powerful the light is, I guess.
I've seen plenty of shiny ribbons. Think of a Christmas present.
Think about it.
It's got shiny ribbons on
Now I'm
it.
thinking about Christmas.
Yeah, good. Just saying, guys.
Are there any ribbons in King's Quest? So were there other people that are basically vying to develop this game? Was it kind of like a known thing that was going to happen amongst independent developers, and some people could have possibly?
I don't
gotten in
know
on it,
that.
or-
I don't think that is something I know. I don't know that happened. If it did, it happened before I came on.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure.
So yeah, I gotta wonder, if you get a chance to bring back this series that everybody has known and loved, that I don't think there was essentially anything really wrong with King's Quest that was responsible for it, not continuing as long as it did and not releasing, sequels for as long as it could have, just because the adventure genre was not necessarily huge for a certain
Right.
amount of time, and it's definitely coming back.
Yeah, it never went away completely, but it definitely wasn't a forerunner as far as genres go anymore.
So I know you weren't on necessarily the ground floor with development, but were there ideas, big ideas that were thrown away? Was it just kind of like a rocky road, leading to what we see, the game that we're playing now?
Well, I think that we definitely wanted to focus on story, and so we wanted to tell. And so our creative director, Matt Corba, huge King's Quest fan. So I mean, he probably had the story in his head since he was 9. I mean, like he knew what he wanted to tell. So we had this story idea, and then it was kind of just how do we develop adventure gameplay elements that make sense for the story. So the story was very much like came first, and the gameplay elements and puzzles fit into that.
I wonder if we should have some kind of a drinking game for every time you die. Because the deaths are pretty great.
Sure.
You know, I definitely don't want that to just
But
like
then it could
happen
be
in the
like
background.
orange
The deaths
juice
are pretty
though, so we can
spectacular.
have we don't get drunk or anything. We just get lots of vitamin C, so everybody wins.
So yeah, I mean, the fear that I would have if I'm a developer and I'm going to be working with something like King's Quest is obviously I got to steer this franchise into a new generation. You know, so I have to make it work on the systems. Now I have to make someone who's just picked up King's Quest for the first time, not familiar with the series at all, just wants not even a good adventure game, just a fun fantasy game. I have to be able to please that person, but at the same time, like my wife was cracking up at Hatchet jokes, and I was like, "What? Did I miss something?" She was like,
real crowd pleaser.
That's a classic King's Quest
Yeah.
joke."
Who was cracking up at Hatchet jokes?
My wife.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a drinking game for that
People
too.
I had previously been playing King's Quest with commented that the hatchet was a good King's Quest joke. So you obviously want to have stuff like that, and it kind of seems you could potentially, be chasing your tail, trying to appease both parties.
That's a huge concern.
Was that the objective, to make everybody happy, or do you feel it kind of leaned, one side or the other for fans or non-fans?
I mean, we definitely didn't lean towards one side or the other. It was definitely a huge concern. And like really awesome challenge at the same time to try and appease and appeal to both type of players, adventure gamers, people who really love Sierra games, and then new gamers alike. So there's a lot of nods to King's Quest, like the hatchet, but there's so many more. And because there's so many like ways you can talk to people and so many items you can use, there's so much dialogue that if you're looking for King's Quest jokes and references, you're gonna find so many. But if you don't know what they are, and you're not familiar with King's Quest from the past, you're still gonna think that these like silly things are funny. So I think we did a great job of appealing to both like new gamers and old Sierra gamers. But that was definitely something we kept in mind throughout the whole process.
The first person segments I was a bit surprised by, having like a lot of asking someone who plays something like like The Walking Dead, or even just going back to like old King's Quest games, it's mostly used to like tapping on the screen or clicking on the screen to actively like have to aim this arrow in first person. Do you know if that's something that the old series ever delved into, other like gameplay perspectives, or was it always just pretty much 2D? Do you have a lot of experience with the King's Quest series?
Yeah, I've played them all, and at my desk I basically watch YouTubers Let's Plays like all day, all day long. I watch random YouTubers playing the game. But I know like in King's Quest 6 there was like some mini puzzles where you like the perspective changed to typing. I can't think of any time where it changed to like a bow and arrow like we have in this, but the bow and arrow sequences are very minimal in this game.
Right.
So it's not like a thematic part of the game. They're just little puzzles or little nods.
But it definitely is a much more physical game, and I think that's one of the biggest differences going into it, is this transition to 3D, and how the camera moves through the environment, and how Graham moves through the environment. But at the same time, after I was playing it for like hour and a half, I started to notice like the pace might be a little bit different, just because my old Apple IIe can only make Graham move so fast, like along the screen. But just the pace of like how long it's taking me to solve puzzles, how quickly I'm being introduced to new environments, the pace of the conversations I'm having with people felt like King's Quest. Just felt like a classic adventure game.
That was the goal, so great.
Yeah, was
worked
that?
out.
Well, how do you? I just wonder how once you, like you said, the story was probably set up before even like the script was written. You probably had such
idea,
a passion for this. You
yeah.
had all that stuff figured out. How do you kind of imagine like an accordion? Like if it's too long, how do you kind of compress the a sequence or something like that? Is it just in how big the environment is, or how long it takes to load certain things? Or
I think for some scenes are really big because that's the way they evolved. Like we kind of just let things happen. If a scene felt like it wanted to evolve and be bigger, or it needed to be smaller, we just kind of let that happen and throughout the development. And yeah, we had the opportunity to make it fit what we needed for pacing, and I think it works.
did you meet any of the cast? Because it's got a cool cast.
I didn't get to meet any of the cast. They didn't let me go to like the recording sessions. I kept being like, I'm social media. I should take pictures of this.
Right, totally.
I should Instagram this, guys. And they'd be like, yeah,
I
that.
should do my own
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah,
Christopher Lloyd,
we
please.
can take pictures. So I'm like, whatever. I guess you can. But no, I didn't get to meet anybody.
Did you do that a lot? Did you push the boundaries of what your job qualifications may have
absolutely.
been?
Oh,
Trying to get
absolutely.
access.
Yeah.
Which actually brings us to you specifically. I mean, what for people that are unfamiliar with the role of a community manager, what do you do day to day?
So it's definitely kind of on the surface. Lots of social media. There's the Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and Instagram, and I'm the person managing all of that and answering questions and posting to it. And for Tumblr specifically, I make a lot of GIFs. A lot of GIFs. If you ever look at our Tumblr, it's like basically just old school King's Quest moments, and it's like when Bay doesn't text you back, and it's like a picture of Graham being like. It's like real silly stuff. And then under that, I'm kind of run point with all of PR and anybody who asks for questions via email, and I'm that point person in between for PR and people who are reaching out to us, and help out in a lot of those kind of ways. I'm like the only person in the office who like can't code, and so like anytime there's like anything that needs to get done that's just like random, I'll do it.
So because you are, someone who's so involved with, all of the information that's floating around about the game, but you don't have direct access to the game, like you were saying, you don't code, is it kind of tricky for you to recognize, I imagine it's tricky for you to answer questions on behalf of the developers about
Sure.
what went into making the game, but is it tough to find that line as, the front lines of speaking to your community, what I should tell them, what I shouldn't tell them, what information should stay behind closed doors? I mean, it's still have 4 more chapters that people don't know about that I'm
Right.
sure you know tons of details about.
Right. We're really, really small team. We're like 20 people, and we're in a small office, and so I know a lot about what's going into the game. But at the same time, people who are talking to us via these social channels typically don't really want to know too much about the engine we're using. They typically want to know more like, will Cedric the Owl be in it? Like those are the kind of questions that I get asked a lot. And no, sadly, no Cedric yet. No, there's no Cedric. But so typically those are the kinds of questions that we get asked. So I'm usually capable of answering those.
Hopefully, I will only reserve questions for you that you're capable of answering. Why episodic? I mean, I can imagine a bunch of reasons why, but I don't know if there was like a specific mission with the game that they brought up early on. Why or chapter based?
Chapter based, sure. Good use of the branding there. I think we just wanted to tell a big story and different parts of the story. So one of the big challenges of taking on King's Quest is that there's 8 games, and there's so many different, and there's 4 playable characters. There's Graham, there's Alexander, there's Rosella, and there's Valanice, and then who's the 8? Who's the main player in 8? All of
Blood.
you?
Do you know?
No,
Oh, who's the player? Oh, you mean from the games?
Yeah.
Not just in chapter 1, but in.
No, King's Quest 8.
Oh, I do not know. So
Yeah.
that's-
Well,
my wife was here.
But I mean, there's a lot of
Chat, let us
perspectives.
know.
There's a lot of
Keep your eyes on
stories.
chat.
So I think the advantage of having different chapters is that we don't have to pick just one point in Graham's life to tell. Like we have so much room to tell so many stories that are all part of this bigger story.
And do you think this game kind of exists in the world where, for fun, it's kind of nice to think of this being a continuation of the Graham in the world, the Daventry that we know and love. But at the same time, obviously, you don't want to be like necessarily constrained to that, so that like you got to be, checking all your, dotting all your I's and crossing your T's to make sure everything lines up.
Right.
Is it kind of both worlds? Where
Yeah.
like, yeah, he is, but don't think about it too much.
Well, you guys pointed it out in your first video, or earlier video this week, that there's a line in the beginning where it's like, it's just like I remember. It's not quite as I remember, but it's not all that different. And that's kind of how it is when you tell a story, right? Like you don't get all the details exact, but you get the gist of it down. And that's kind of how this story is. Like it's old Graham, and he's telling the stories as he remembers them. So it gave us a lot of room to kind of tell our own story, but still fit within the confines of the established story.
And I think it's good too because you have to have some kind of a dialogue somehow with the player of an adventure game. You have to have a lot of text in there, so you're giving them a lot of information so that they can paint the scene and understand, I'm not supposed to use that. Okay, I'm not supposed to go there yet. And I loved having Christopher Lloyd, kind of add his own personality to that. So you're used to having his voice in your head, and he's not really interrupting the gameplay by, saying, yes, use this, don't go there.
Right.
And I just think that has a lot more personality inherent in it than your average adventure game, which is just like description, text.
Yeah, that was definitely, and it was a big part of King's Quest. I mean, 5 and 6 had amazing voice acting. Oh my gosh, 6 voice acting. it was so over the top and great. So I mean, voice acting was really important to us, and I think it really, it made the story really interesting because some of these cutscenes are longer and there's a lot of story. So having such personality in these voices really makes it interesting.
So you went into the company already with a reverence for King's Quest. That worked out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's King's Quest.
Well, it's easily something that people could have missed. Even people that were alive and well in that era and fans of video games.
Yeah, because I wasn't born until late '80s, so I missed them from a child perspective. But I played them later in life when I could type better.
What did you play them on? How did you get? Was it did you get the collection when that came out, or?
I played them in bits and pieces, and then we also played them as a team in the office. Like at lunch, we'd all go play, King's Quest games. And I remember we played King's Quest V, and we're like, we don't need a walkthrough. We got this. We have memories. That's more powerful than any walkthrough.
Nope.
And no, I think we forgot emeralds or something.
Memories are pretty worthless,
yeah,
actually.
They were completely, utterly worthless. Because we got all the way to the forest or whatever, where we needed emeralds to barter for shoes or something, and we didn't have one item, so our whole playthrough was just done.
I can't remember what specific King's Quest it was, but Amanda was playing one because she played all of the games with her dad, my wife,
okay.
and
I'm on board.
at the end of the game needed to have a specific arrow, and she'd already used up all the arrows. It was just there's no save I can go back to. I guess I'll just start the whole game over again.
Yeah, that's what you do. But you learn.
Right. Well, if you would have learned if you had been alive during the 80s, then
sure.
If you've had that information.
I blame my parents for not having me sooner.
Yeah, you blew it. Nicole's parents. Really quick, we're gonna switch on over to the control room and chat with Mr. Ian Hank. Ian,
Hi.
do you like King's Quest, Police Quest, Space Quest?
I played Space Quest.
There you go.
And Full Throttle, was that LucasArts or was that Sierra or was it both? Lucas? Yeah.
It's a great energy drink name.
Full Throttle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Space Quest. Never the King's Quest, but I have this one now, and now that they've fixed the PS4, I'll play it.
Wow, you had to bring it up
Yeah.
in front of the community manager.
Yeah. Well,
Here's your chance to manage right
Screwed
now.
up,
How would you
Nicole.
manage?
Quiet.
Some punk like Ian comes along and
You screwed it up.
doesn't work.
Oh, I'm really sad to hear that. We've been working with Sony to fix that, and I have some steps that can help fix that problem, and you should be playing in no time.
Spare
Happy
me your
questing.
lies, corporate pig
Happy
dog.
questing! Autosave early, autosave often.
Oh my god.
Jokes.
So I think more. I mean, I am naive. I've never held this position before, but I imagine certainly there are wrong things you can say, but more than anything, you just have to be present. You have to be, available. How I'm a member of the Odd Gentleman team. How do I, get a hold of you and say, oh my God, Nicole, we have this problem. We need you to fix it right away.
Text me.
Okay.
like during that thing, I check my phone to see if there's any fires.
Have you ever had a fire at 2 a.m. or just something come up at a totally random inconvenient time?
No, I mean, I'm real spazzy, so I'm prepared I'm halfway into a panic attack just constantly. But no, I mean, everything's been really great, and, making the game's been awesome, and the community's been really nice, which I guess is weird for the internet, but people are really excited about King's Quest, and they love King's Quest. And if you love adventure games, then from what I've been seeing on Twitter and stuff, you're liking our game. So it's been oddly pleasant for the internet.
I would hope that the community behind King's Quest would be chill.
Yeah, chill.
They'll turn on you episode 3. I've been there.
Yeah, episode 3 is the turning point.
Yeah.
I hope not, but I'm prepared. I'm already panic attacking, so.
Is there some kind of dramatic? I don't want to ask you because I don't want you to have to give out the information. But Blood will spoil things. He doesn't care. Is there a cliffhanger at the end of chapter 1? Is it
In a
definitely
way,
roll
yeah.
credits? Dun dun dun! Oh no!
But I mean, it's weird
Tune
because
in.
she said the chapter wraps up really nice and neatly, but it's the in between stuff that has more of a cliffhanger. Yeah.
Can you have a sense of where chapter 2 is going to start, based on the end of chapter 1?
I think in some ways, yeah.
Yeah, I think we leave it in the main story with Old Graham and Gwendolyn. We leave it on kind of a cliffhanger, so we want to know more what's happening in this story. But in the look back story with young Graham, that story is finished. So there's really no cliffhanger as to what's next for him, other than we know he's a knight now, and when he's a knight, we know from King's Quest 1, he's going to become king. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and then so on and so forth, and eventually, travels off. In King's Quest 5, when...
On a griffin?
No, in King's Quest V, him and Cedric, just like when the castle gets stolen, they just kind of like fly, and like Graham will like full on flap his arms, and that's just a really special moment for me. I don't know how did I get there?
Go back and play some of these because I don't remember which ones I've actually played.
Oh,
Because
so
it was
good.
like something when I was a kid. There was like a 286 that my mom bought for me to do homework, and it just loaded up with games.
This is homework.
And so I played some King's Quest games, but I'm not sure which ones I played.
They kind of like all melded together.
Yeah.
Kyle Bossman, King's Quest at all?
Yeah, so I played one where you go into a well. I've definitely played one where there's a well
I
involved.
think that's one.
That's
Pretty
one.
early.
You
That's
definitely
the
go
first
into a
one.
well
Yeah.
in one.
Yeah, I played that one a lot. And then I don't know which one this is. It's basically scared me off PC games forever. It's the one with the Minotaur. And
Oh, 6.
I was watching some big kids play through 6, and there was a moment with a merchant, and the merchant was
Maybe
selling them a
Jolo?
brick. And they said, no, we don't need that brick. And then it turned out, yeah, they needed that brick. And so the Minotaur killed them, and then they had to restart the game.
That's harsh. Well, they should have had multiple saves.
They should
first
have
of
multiple
all.
saves. You're right, that is on them. They had no save from before buying that brick.
That's
And
tough.
so I said, no PC games, I'm done.
Right. Well, 6 was like especially grown up. Like there was like the Lord of Death or something that was like real scary, and he didn't have a shirt on and like chains around his neck. That was some heavy stuff.
What's that? It's that, yeah, that old pixelated imagery. There was a lot, you just put like a cute little skeleton in there and like, yeah, it looks cute, but it's not supposed to be cute.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a skeleton.
Oh man.
Scary
like
pixels.
yeah, it's just a Minotaur that will it killed you. The Minotaur killed you. Yeah, that
You
was
haven't
freaky.
recovered from this since.
I guess I haven't. I didn't really think about it until now.
Kyle, come on up here. Let's talk about it.
We just
I wanna-
number
I wanna-
11?
To
I want to
Minotaur.
chat with you and
Sure.
something else really quickly because we're spending so much time talking about King's Quest. We want to discuss this very briefly. But this week we are doing a GT countdown, and we're here to talk about number 11, the game that unfortunately didn't make the list. We're doing a good list. We had kind of a nasty list last time. Got called down on our list by some people. In the
Nasty
industry.
how?
We talked about some franchises, not King's Quest, that should die. Should probably just die. And not die like, they're game franchises, so, you can die and come back. But for now, it might be a good time
Take
to
a
die.
breather. Might have been a nice way of phrasing that.
Yeah, take a break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
clicks on take a breather.
No.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fair.
yeah. We wouldn't
That's fair.
have done
Oh,
nearly
you
as
don't
well.
want to give up too much, do you?
Nobody would have tweeted at us if we said take a breather. But this week, hopefully, we'll get some positive reaction because we're talking about just games that we love.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's just one of these arbitrary, well, not necessarily arbitrary, but kind of arbitrary classifiers, which is the top 10 twos. Mm-hmm. These are not top 10 sequels. These are top 10 games that have 2 in the title, whether it's a Roman numeral 2, the number 2, or the word 2 in some cases.
Too human.
Too human.
See, I'm so against it.
I think, well, no, that's like much human, That's
Yeah,
like
I'm
not
too
the number.
human.
Yeah,
No, I
that game
know.
was too human. For its own
I'm
good.
against any game with just the 2 incidentally in the title being on this countdown. Just
Yeah?
for the record.
Because you had one. I don't.
Brothers, A Tale of Two
Yeah,
Sons.
Brother: A Tale of Two Sons was.
Still a worse game than all the other good 2s that we have.
But it is an interesting thing to have a sequel and not call it 2, and not
Yeah.
I get way too obsessed about stuff like that when
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, you didn't want to call it 2, huh? Like you really were like, no, you really want to. They're each their own chapters, of their own thing. We don't really think about
Chapters
this as
are
the
big.
next game.
Chapters are real smart.
Chapter cool.
And the one that made 11 is one that I'm not a fan of, but a lot of fans of this franchise are a fan of. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just wasn't a fan of it. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link.
Yeah.
Adventure, singular, not adventures.
The
Just
Legend
one-
of Zelda 2, The Adventure
The Legend of Zelda
Link.
2, The Adventure of Link.
Yeah, just think of that
'Cause Link-
silver sword on the box
As
art.
if suggesting Link didn't have an adventure in the first. Like, finally, an adventure for Link.
Yeah.
But this is it. When it's over, Link doesn't have any more adventures.
He had his awakening
right
after
here
this, right?
is
Like-
the Adventure of Link.
Like the adventure kind of put him through like, oh, a tizzy, but then he had like an awakening later, right? Link's Awakening on the Game Boy.
This is gosh,
Yeah.
that's a whole different Link.
I think that's how the timeline works.
That's
yeah.
how the timeline works. He had a rough time on this one. He went to like a day spa, and he had this awakening.
Right. This all relies on the Link in Ocarina of Time dying. Takes place in that timeline. This is the third
Gosh,
timeline.
The
don't even
ultimate-
get into that weirdness.
Don't try to reason with these people.
Okay, so here's the reason why
Because he lives, it's okay.
this game should have been in the top 10. This is one of the best 2s, a video game 2 you could ever imagine. The word I use for this game is fearless. Zelda 2 is fearless. It
Well,
is so
fierce.
different from the first game.
It is very different.
On the world
And
map
that's
of
probably
this
why I
game,
didn't like it.
The entirety of the first Zelda game is on this world map. You can just go there, and it's just like, that's how huge this game is. This is how bold it is. It takes place directly after that first game.
And he had such long legs, and it was like
His legs
you
are so long.
You like show off your body. You're proud of it. You don't care what anyone's gonna say. Like, yeah, he's dressed a certain way, but like he's proud of who he is, and I respect that the most about this game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually, that's worth mentioning is that like you get this full like 2D character model of Link in this game, not just for battle, but for like going into towns. And there's people walking around the towns, NPCs that are just going about their own daily business, and also will give you quests if you talk to them.
There's an experience system, a magic system. Did a lot of RPG-ish stuff going on in there, yeah.
Yeah, to me, the idea that Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a better game than this is just simply absurd.
People cried with that game, and crying
That's a good game,
sometimes.
Bossman.
It's a great game. Hey, it's a great game.
It's better than Zelda 2.
It's not better than it's not better than Zelda 2. Zelda 2 is an adventure.
You have no heart, Bossman.
Zelda 2 has so much heart.
No,
This game is-
you have
There's lots
no
of
heart.
hearts in it. You get hearts pretty regularly.
Dude, there is frequent heartage in that game. This is
In
true.
the forests, you can turn into a fairy.
The
Think
fact that
about
it. Oh, yeah.
Suikoden 2 isn't on this list is a travesty.
That's a
The
good
what?
number 11 as well.
Suikoden 2
right?
is a travesty.
I don't
That
think the
game
list is
beautiful.
actually finalized, so.
We know what's on the list. We know what the 10 are.
Let's scoot Suikoden 2.
But even people. I mean, this is a tough list, man.
Oh, it's
okay.
been very hard. Yeah.
Is Mass Effect 2 on there?
Daniel Warren says that Castlevania 2 makes the list and Zelda 2 doesn't. Castlevania 2 did not
The
make the list.
camera was
Yeah,
on you.
But it's worth noting that like what was it with the weird 2s? Where like Super Mario Brothers 2 was weird and Zelda 2 was weird and Castlevania 2 was weird and
But here's the weird thing I was saying.
really all just kind of
yesterday.
branched off and
Castlevania 2 and Zelda 2 have a lot of weird similarities. I want to know more about what happened there.
I mean, Super Mario 2, that's its own whole weird thing.
Right. Yeah, well, they were all weird for their own.
Well, it's like your
Weird
sophomore
reasons.
year, you know? You're finally, like, you're trying new things, you're playing out with new people, and you feel a lot more confident to experiment.
And it's on your third game where you really you've really settled on who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, Dracula's
fourth year,
Curse,
you
Super Mario
coast.
Brothers 3. Yeah, okay.
So I learned about Tadashi Sugiyama. This is the director of Zelda 2. Didn't know about this person until today. Also made Mario Kart. Also director on Mario Kart. Also director on F-Zero.
Nice.
X. But also made Doki Doki Panic, which is Super Mario Bros. 2 in the US.
Correct.
It all ties together, man.
Yeah.
This person is legit. He's one of those people.
Where
who's
is he
just
now?
He's just a producer. He's just a
Can this become behind the music?
He's
And,
he's up on the chain now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They strung him up on a chain.
They strung him up on
And
a
when
chain.
you said up
Whoa.
on a chain, like, you got up a little, and so I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
wow, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, I'm at the
this.
chain of command, the Nintendo executive board.
Right, right,
I think
okay.
I think he's in
Sorry.
charge of EAD right now or something, or at least influential at EAD.
Please tell me my Silent Hill 2 is alright.
I don't know. You'll have to see the list this weekend.
Alright, good.
Viva
We'll
Pinata
see where it
2?
ends up. I don't know.
No,
Oh god, it
I
better
would
be
not
number
allow that
one.
on this list.
Oh,
Number
Viva
one.
Pinata 1, though, is great.
So here's my thing with Viva Pinata.
You love it
is-
too much?
Here come
No.
the puns.
No puns. I do not like this game because if you
It's too sweet?
if you learn to care for a pinata,
Oh, yeah, this is messed up.
you have to kill it.
Yeah.
You cannot care for any of your pinatas because you have to kill them and allow the other pinatas to eat the
Right.
remains.
Also,
We always
they
hurt
mate
the
with
ones
their
we
children.
love, Boss.
Yeah.
You have to ignore that.
It's a real effed up game.
Yeah, and then
and
there's-
then the
Wow.
red guys come in and just like
Right.
wreck everything, and there's nothing you can do to stop them.
Right. Except cry and deal, cope, learn from it, move on, become stronger. Yeah, you can't do anything.
Unexpected
I really
FIFA
don't like
pinata
it.
tangent, man. Well, wow. Actually, hey, that's a perfect transition. Speaking of Viva Pinata.
Oh, for our Badass trailer? Is
Our
that what we're
Badass
doing for
trailers
Badass
for Rare
trailer?
Replay.
Okay.
Rare Replay.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I help that segue?
You helped
Yes,
us
you
so
did.
much.
Dang.
So check out some Viva Pinata. Rare did, so you got this game. Everybody's, a lot of people play these games. It's just, we just took these games, we packaged them together. Yeah, it's a good deal, but like, how do you advertise it? And they clearly went out of their way to make a fun video that we all enjoyed. We did a trailer score on it, and if you haven't seen it, check it out now. Rare Replay opening number. Minute and a half.
We're almost ready, tightened in the lights. Let's get around your candy, your pinata, so the games you know we blew our budgets on the song, just so you can play them all. It's a every day around this way, the place that's old and new. Over 30 years of laughs and cheers, present, hooray, it's time for every
I thank you.
All right, Whammy Time 91. I apologize. It is 2:30 in the morning wherever you are, but we appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for checking out that trailer. Now, we're going to get to questions in a little bit. Again, send them to Lisa Williams, Chibi Weezy in the chat. We're going to be giving out codes for the game that we are playing. We're not even scratching the surface of this game. We should just stick around the whole night and just get through. So what is it, like 3.5 hours, 4 hours?
I mean, I think the average people are saying 5 hours.
5 hours?
Yeah. It kind of depends on how you play, how quickly you get through puzzles, how much dialogue you want to get to. It kind of depends on your experience, but on average, I'm hearing 5 hours.
I would like to spoil this one moment that we are in right now,
Hold on,
that is
what?
being played right behind me.
Okay.
Just to point out how cool it is.
Oh, all right.
Just what's happening.
I
So
love spoiling it is by saying how cool it is.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, what Blood just did is he grabbed this giant stale piece of bread that was circular shaped to help a guy whose carriage is broken down to replace one of the wheels that's on it. But if you go into 2 different stores in this area, there's different circular objects that you can grab for the wheels. There's like a shield or like that's in wheel shaped, and I can't remember what the third one
The
is.
table.
Oh, the table, yeah, that you can grab.
Spoilers, guys.
I like that you had the options. There wasn't like the correct store to go in first. I like that it was, I immediately started getting obsessive by being like, oh no, I'm going to put the bread wheel on, and then it's going to fall because it's made out of bread. I should grab the metal one, but it
Oh,
wouldn't
no,
let me.
The merchant has a gluten allergy. Oh.
Right. But I just did a really good job of signaling like this was another way you could do it. You already made your decision,
Yeah.
and that can be tricky to do. Blood and I were saying, before we played King's Quest, was like there's that inevitable point in every adventure game where you just hit a wall, where you're like, I love this world, I'm so into the story, I just have absolutely no idea how these items make sense or where I'm supposed to be going or what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think you guys have mostly solved that in this.
Yeah, so a lot of adventure games, there's a kind of this adventure game logic where things don't make sense at all. And that's sometimes charming, but for most people, it's probably not. So we kind of wanted to have a lot of really fun random objects that you can use throughout the game, but we also wanted there to be like, a thread of logic that you can apply to everything. So I feel like you're not going to get, to a point where you're just like, I have no idea what to do, because the game's going to try and help you through that, through dialogue and through the inventory items you have. And Gwendolyn's sort of like kind of the player who's kind of hearing the story for the first time and not sure what to do. So I feel like there's a lot of ways that the game can help you if you were to ever get to that wall.
And I liked, even though there were moments where I was just about to solve something, and then the game kind of cheekily pointed me in the right direction.
Right.
I still enjoyed that, and I think the characters do that a lot. You'll hear idle chatter and stuff like that between soldiers and stuff that you're like, oh, okay, just based on what that guy said, okay, I got it, I know what I'm supposed to do. So we like this. If you
I'm glad.
We dig it.
That would have been real awkward if you guys had me on to be like, what the heck happened?
Well, we're not the way that we're
Well,
going
we
to
did
handle this.
ask you before we had played the game.
Right. The way that we're going to, a lot of people are releasing an official review score for the first chapter, and do that for other episodic things. We used to do that, and we're of the opinion now that we certainly want to talk about it, which is why we have you on here. It's why we did a video earlier this week about it, so we can let people know it's sweet and you should check it out. But we're just waiting for the whole package, so we can look at the story as a whole and then rate that whole thing. So no offense, sorry if you haven't gotten the official score yet, but a thumbs up from Game Trailers for sure.
We'll take
chapter
it.
1.
We'll take it.
You can just do a screen grab of that, and you can put that. You can make that GIF right there.
Perfect.
You can put that up. Really quick before we move on to the questions, which we typically do around now, but we're running a little bit late. Are you nervous, Ian? Ian's giving me nervous eyes.
What? Oh,
I guess I was just looking at Ian and that made him
I was just
nervous.
gonna say that we already gave King's Quest an official game trailer's score, and it was a tender kiss.
Oh, that's
Oh.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
right. Yeah, you guys came and saw me. I was working
At
the
E3.
King's Quest booth at E3.
Oh, okay.
And that was the official review. Was a tender kiss.
We
Oh
didn't
my.
we didn't play the game.
No.
We didn't have an award,
Uh-uh.
but we just.
We gave
It
it,
was
a tender
beautiful.
kiss. Yeah.
It was special, and
It was erotic.
yeah. I mean, obviously,
As
goes
a
without
kid-
saying.
as community manager, that's all you can ask for.
Right. That's
If you end the day
Yeah, that's it.
with a tender kiss. I just love like the epic like King's Quest commercial, just like tender kiss game trailer.
Yeah.
Like what? What is that?
Yeah, they
Yep.
should.
Tender
is that
kiss, and then
taken out of
in
context?
close,
happen.
and then
No.
beefy. Just both those.
Make it happen.
context.
Nichols.
So I have a long editorial conversation that I'm going to try to shrink so we can get to questions. You can just jump up here and get into this. Is this Cal's phone?
That is.
Is Cal's
Oh.
phone Cal left up here?
Is it locked? Is it password locked?
Yeah, we can see all this
Thumbprint locked, yeah.
Oh, you doing questions?
All his
Can I start?
sexting on there.
Thumbs.
At the very least, try and get into it so many times it locks them out. I'm just kidding.
Do that over there.
Can I start the questions with my riddle?
With your what?
With my riddle.
With your riddle?
Yeah.
You have a riddle?
I have a riddle for Nicole.
Oh, great.
We're super fast.
Remember, I
this
told you
episode.
this.
Yeah. What's your? Well, I had a couple questions for her before we officially got into questions, but we can start with your question. Everybody's got questions for you.
Do I need like a backwards alphabet?
No.
Okay.
Can I answer the riddle?
No. It has to be Nicole.
Whoa.
Okay.
Can't get it from chat.
Okay.
And maybe she wants to have time to think about it. We can ask the other question in between. But and I also like someone else could have come up with this. It just may not be that original. But who is the funniest fairy tale princess?
Wait, is this a joke or a riddle?
It's both.
I know what the answer is.
It's a jiddle.
Well, I don't know what that sounds at all. That's just.
Can I answer? I'll give you a few more.
Who's the funniest? Wait, so who's the funniest Disney princess?
Well, it could be Disney, but
Or
you,
story princess?
Yeah, fairy tale princess. If you want to call
See
on
if
Elise,
anybody-
you
I
can-
mean,
You want to phone a friend?
how silly is the answer?
that's pretty silly.
It sounds like it's gonna be silly. Let's phone a friend. What do you think, Elise?
Rapunzel.
Yeah, she
Oh, so
got
in my
it.
head, I was Punderella. Punderella's not a very good one, Nicole. That's a
For the record, you guys, the
Cinderella.
humor in Chapter 1 of King's Quest is way better than that riddle / joke from Mr.
It
Butler.
is.
But I said it because
So-
she was
I like
she
that.
was responsible. She was credited for giving puns.
yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Credits?
Yeah.
yeah, Matt. Yeah, I think I did. I haven't seen the credits yet. I want to get a screen cap for my parents. Yeah. So I mean, Matt obviously is the mastermind of everything we write, but I contributed quite a few puns. Definitely a proud moment.
Nice. We're totally ready for questions. I just have one quick thing that I just wanted to kick off a really quick conversation
What's
with.
that editorial?
I did an editorial segment just because I was curious if the fandom surrounding King's Quest was in any way a burden for you as community manager. That like if you could choose between working with the team on a game that had like no baggage, this is a brand new IP, you've never heard about it before, but at the same time it's tough to like make people hear about it because
Right.
you aren't familiar with this name, versus working with something like King's Quest and people are bringing in all these expectations, but at the same time you just walk into a room and say King's Quest and just all these people come running and screaming, oh, I love it.
Yeah, I choose that one.
You choose the second one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because it was just like sure, like, on one side, it's like you could think of it as like a burden. It's not a burden, but like as just there's so much prestige that comes with it. Like, how are you gonna live up to it? How are you going to constantly be, paying homage to it? And how are you going to be addressing it in a way that people who haven't heard of it can relate to? But there was just so much awesome material for us to work with because of the many games that it was. I can see how, in general, you wouldn't want to take on an established huge IP, but for the case of King's Quest, I would choose King's Quest. Like, it was just, the IP is just so fun and so loved, and there's so much there that I would choose that forever.
Kyle, could you get the door? My wife is at the door.
Who?
Sure, absolutely.
Let's get into questions.
There are so many questions.
Got a text from her like, I hope that wasn't 20 minutes ago. Oh, no, it's right now.
People love you, and the questions all kind of started out about King's Quest, but then they got weirder and weirder.
Sure, I'm a Virgo, vegetarian.
I'll start with like some of the little more tamer ones. This is from Buttons the Best.
Sure.
He's our cat.
Mm-hmm.
King's Quest coming back gives parents a chance to experience this game all over again with their kids. How does it feel to bring an older generation of gamers together with the new generation? Like, do you hear stories about people that are now going to be playing with their kids?
Yeah, we're starting to get messages of people who have already beat the game with their kids, and like their kids are, and there's been a few people who have kids named Graham, and they send us messages, and I swear, and I'm not just saying this, but I got like super teary-eyed this morning reading some of them, and like I had to stop because I was wearing so much eye makeup to come on this later, and I was like, Nicole, get yourself together. You are going to be on camera later. And so, like, that's what kept me from not crying. But, yeah, we've been getting so much feedback like that. And I don't know if that's a common thing for games where people say, my kids can't wait to play this with me. Not my kids, like, I don't want to play this with my kids because my kids are bothering me. Or my kids are ignoring me so they can play this game. But it's like they want to play it together. And that's weird. And it's awesome.
I imagine mobile community managers get that a lot because it's just like,
Sure.
your game's great. I give my kid the iPad, it shuts up for an hour, it's fantastic.
It's great, yeah.
Whereas, yeah, you gotta sit down with the fam on the couch and play this. For
that's
sure.
kind of a huge reaction we've been getting.
This is from Jox. It was awesome to see Ken and Roberta Williams on the Game Awards last year. Have they played the game? Can you say anything about your relationship with them? Also, is there a talking owl?
Right, those are all
Can you
very
answer
good
that?
questions. I'll answer them in reverse order of importance. No talking owl yet. Ken and Roberta they played the game. We've showed them the game through various points of the development process because getting them to, be enthusiastic and approve of our idea, like getting them on board was really important to us, and super lucky that we got to work it out because even though they don't make games, they're very busy people. So we got to talk with them. We went up to Seattle to see them, and then we saw them again at the Video Game Awards, and they're awesome, and they like the game, and I mean, that feels so good to know that they approve. It's like second mom and dad approving.
Yeah. Were you guys worried that maybe, like, was there...
Totally. Oh, for sure. Oh my God, what if they were like what if they looked at us like single tier status, like?
Yeah.
But
Or
they
they're just
didn't.
like,
They were
they're
like
just, like
super
tapping a
excited.
stick.
They were excited, and they brought their family, and this is how we thought the King's Quest series would evolve, and we were like, oh my God. A lot of crying at this office.
Yeah.
Very emotional people.
Another question that might make you cry or
Great.
make you get emotional. This is from Fatbot69.
Have
you ever thought about going back and finishing Mystical Ninja Gomen?
I have it. I went and bought it at Game Dude in LA, and I went and bought it, and it's really hard. When I was younger, I got to say I couldn't beat it because I didn't have a memory card, and now I have a memory card, and now I can't beat it because I'm a loser. So we'll stick with that first reason.
This is from Caterpillar Milk. What do you think about the few but not many review outlets that have criticized the game for being too old school and not having new gameplay features such as a map or quest markers?
Sure, I mean, there's always going to be some reviews and some people who don't love the adventure game genre like we do, and I don't think that everyone needs to love it. I mean, we think it's a great game, and we know that so many adventure game, lovers do love it, and that's what's important to us, is that people who really care about adventure games, young and old, new to the series and old fans, are having a great time with it. So everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I hope as many people as possible love it.
Lovers gonna love.
Lovers gonna love.
And I hope that changes too, going into chapter 2. Now that they know, this is it. This is King's Quest. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, attitudes will change and expectations will change going into
we have
it.
quite a few chances too when people love her.
Speaking of expectations, everyone's afraid Kyle is now wandering around the office searching for Amanda. But Amanda's joined us.
Hello.
Hi, Amanda.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Amanda doesn't always stop by GT Live, only when we cover her favorite video game franchises of all time.
Yeah. I asked Brandon if I could maybe just come and sit in the corner for today. So my dad got I was born, FYI, I was born in the late 70s.
I've heard of it.
And my dad brought home the Apple IIe. What is the little square computer that we all used to have? Anyway, the first game that we could play on this home computer was King's Quest. And I actually think we started with King Quest 2 and then went back and did the first one. But then we would get every single game as they would come out until for some reason there was one that wasn't on the Mac, and then we couldn't play that one, but we would anticipate it, and then we would get it, it would be huge, and then we'd play the whole thing together. And so this was like from when I was 8 all the way through high school, we'd play those games. And then when this came out, I was like, this is amazing. Like, you've given me and people like me like a piece of our childhood back. And
chapter by chapter.
Crying again, guys.
Yeah.
Like, cheese. That's the best thing we could possibly hear.
So I mean, but that answers the question we were talking about earlier. It's like, why wouldn't you want to work on that? You know, as opposed to like some brand new thing no one had ever heard of. You know, it's like work with nostalgia. Nostalgia rules. Next question.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty touching, but prepare to get emotional once more. Divinity wants to know, which animal would win, a dragon or a robo-dinosaur?
Whoa.
Well, I mean, what would really beat a dragon is a rabbit. King's Quest 5? No, Robo.
Please don't provide any explanation.
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Oh man, there's so many weird questions like that. This is from Ahab_GT. Any chance of a Queen's Quest, either with a female protagonist or the adventures of Freddie Mercury and the Princes of the Universe?
Ooh.
Wow.
Wow.
Either
I'm
way,
not in a
good.
position to confirm any Freddie Mercury games, but I like where he's going with that. I mean, right now we're definitely very, very focused on King's Quest. I mean, this was chapter 1 of 5. So we're going to focus on that for a while. But I think, Freddie Mercury game has potential.
But that was smart bringing in, a female character very soon into the story.
For
I
sure.
think do we hear her before we see her first? And she's kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
it is constantly just kind of like, I don't know about that one, Grandpa. That seems a little silly. So it was kind of fun having her coming in at that voice of reason.
Yeah.
If you have, a young girl that's playing this with her parents, it's just, experiencing King's Quest for the first time that she has a protagonist as well.
Who is voicing the blacksmith?
Oh, Zelda Williams.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool to me.
Yeah, people really like her. I guess she did some great work in Legend of Korra. So that's where a lot of people know her from.
Did you guys approach her, or did she come audition? She just tried.
I think we had a lot of auditions, like voice auditions for all the characters.
It's very cool. This is from B. Carlston 1. If you could have any one adventure game based on a game or movie universe, what might it be? Or any other form of media, I guess.
Like, if I could have that adventure?
No, if you could create an adventure game based on another property. Like I would make a Parks and Rec adventure game.
Right. Oh no, that's such a good answer.
You'll have a good one too.
Oh no. What was it? The feminine mesquite? That's
barbecues.
That's her the feminist barbecue cookbook. That's my favorite joke in the whole series.
Yeah.
Mesquite. Oh, what was the question? Adventure? I don't know. Maybe Goodfellas, like a Goodfellas adventure game. I
Whoa.
think it'd be really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Couch, I'm curious. Any adventure game? Any franchises worthy of adventure game status? I would do a Syphil and Ollie adventure game.
Do you know how there's a bunch of comedies where it's like, let's get a wrestler to be a nanny?
Like the Rock movie?
Yeah.
Like Mr.
Tooth
Nanny.
Fairy.
Yeah, or the Tooth Fairy. I think any of those games would be a really good adventure game. Like, you're a muscular guy who has to take care of this girl, and you're like, I don't know what girl stuff is, and then that's the game.
Then they find out that girl stuff is just people stuff, and then it's a learning lesson about people.
Yeah.
But not until the last chapter.
Well,
You can't really get into that
all
until
right.
later. Oh God,
I
Ian
think-
has a suggestion.
I think we're ready for that. I think
Yeah.
we're ready for the game where he's like, I can't do girl stuff. Wait, it's human stuff.
Yeah.
And then we actually get a story after that.
Sure.
Brief 1-minute intro.
Vin Diesel likes games and has played a nanny. He was like a secret agent nanny at one point, wasn't he?
Wait, what?
Wasn't Vin Diesel like a secret agent nanny?
Secret Agent Nanny?
Yeah.
Is that not a
Triple X?
movie?
Yeah,
I believe
Triple X.
No, was that Triple X? Yeah, he was.
Yes,
Secret
actually, I
Agent
think it
Nanny
is
should be
Triple
a
X.
movie.
He was like an extreme sports guy or like a wrestler
That's
or
Triple
like
X, man,
like
yeah.
a cop or something like that.
Twin
no,
Peaks.
that's Triple X.
Ian's gonna say Twin Peaks.
Oh, Twin Peaks adventure
would be
game.
really good. I want someone to just redo and make non-fail statable the old Blade Runner adventure game. I really like that game.
You could back yourself into a corner in that game.
Yeah,
and,
you could
and not
like
get out.
one of the replicants, I think, or like one of the guys you have to interview could just leave town eventually if he took too long, and then you could just never win. He would just leave and you're screwed.
It's rude of that guy.
Yeah.
Sucks to be Harrison Ford,
It's a
man.
good
You
game
gotta-
though. Real good.
that's-
Replicants don't have manners.
You gotta get on that.
The Vin Diesel movie is The Pacifier.
But you
What a
There
good
we
name
go.
that
Yeah,
is.
see?
I know.
So I think that's the best game.
It's as good as the feminist.
I want the pacifier adventure game.
Okay, cool.
Good answer.
Next question.
2 questions. What's your favorite Zelda game?
Offering
And-
of time. Next.
And
Just prepared.
do you have a favorite like line from King's Quest or joke from King's Quest?
From this version or just
In general?
I
King's
guess
Quest.
it could be in
My
general.
favorite puzzle is when Cedric says it's a poisonous snake, that was a great Cedric impression. In case you were unsure, oh, how kind of impression was that? It was a great one. And then to solve the puzzle of getting by the snake, you shake a tambourine at it. So that's like one of my favorite moments of life, I would say.
This is from Poopa Doop Troop.
Sure.
If you were sentenced to a video game setting as a punishment, what would be the worst sentence for
Well,
you?
I mean, I guess Dante's Inferno would be like the not think about it too hard choice. What would be the worst? Like my own personal hell?
Yeah.
Carmageddon?
Oh.
Just cars.
That'd be pretty bad. Yeah.
I hate cars.
Just in general.
In general, I hate cars.
Being in them, being struck by them at high speeds.
Both of those things, one more than the other, but I mean both.
So like Twisted Metal?
At least,
Yeah.
at least
In
there's
that
potential
world?
for ice cream in that one, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
I think one that resembles real life but isn't would be like Paperboy would be a really disturbing world to live in.
Yeah. I would hate the Mr. Game & Watch level from Smash Brothers. 'Cause I feel like that's just a bad
Yeah, that's a
level.
good one,
Yeah.
And then things are falling on you all the time.
And they hurt so bad.
They do hurt bad.
Is there a sky in the Paperboy world? We don't know.
Yeah.
So we're running out of questions.
We don't know.
This is from Fozzie. Do you like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door?
Oh no.
Should I just open the show with this from now on?
Yeah, that's an important question.
Hey everybody, welcome to GT Live. Do you like the
That was a 3DS one?
Paper Mario 1000 Year
No, it's the GameCube.
Okay, I really liked the N64 one, and that was it. Sorry.
Okay.
You don't need to apologize to that. You bow to no man.
Are we gonna Lord of the Rings quotes now, or like later?
We'll do that later.
Okay.
This is from Big Cat 4848. What's your favorite cartoon? The questions got really off topic.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
Harvey Birdman.
Oh, of all time?
Yeah. I
Wow,
love it.
okay.
I'm like rewatching it. It's like one of the first shows where I bought all the DVDs for, so I'm like rewatching it for like a 4th time.
That's a good one.
All of them? Like they're done, like show's done. They wrapped it up. And they're
Yeah,
all
yeah.
released.
Harvey Birdman. I think it ended in like 2008 maybe. So yeah, big fan.
Did you get like a box set and then they
Box
made like
set.
one more season and then had there? Or is it everything all
I got it all.
neatly contained? Nice.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe have time for one more question.
Maybe.
Uh,
I was late going into questions, but we've like rushed through a bunch of questions.
yeah. Do
Yeah,
you,
that's so
You're
hard
very
hitting.
expedient
Have
with
any
this question
questions?
answering. I appreciate
I have a
that.
question. So, is it going to be available on Mac eventually?
We don't have any Mac plans at this second. We're definitely very focused on making sure that the games are, out for the announced platforms, which are PC, 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4. So we have our hands full right now. But I mean, it's a possibility, and if anything changes, you can check our Twitter account. We'll update frequently.
Oh, I'm following you on Twitter.
Our Twitter account being King's Quest or Odd Gentleman.
At the Odd Gentleman.
I just asked because that's the computer that my dad has.
Yeah.
But he says he has access to a PC, so I will help get that set up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
My other question, if you don't mind me asking another question, was
Please do.
So I noticed I haven't hardly gotten anywhere in the game. Like I'm in the part where we're at right now, actually behind this here. But I noticed the humor is so similar to the original kind of humor, and I think that's I think it's uncanny. Like, how did you just absorb the other games, or because it reflects a certain kind of
Quirkiness? Or?
no, like a ethics, like a morality that I felt that Roberta brought to the games, where she, she used classic stories, but she also used classic humor, and I feel that in a lot of modern games we don't get classic humor. We get awkward, we get shocking, but not like good old-fashioned puns. And so I'm curious about the writing process and how you were able to capture the spirit of the earlier games so well.
Well, it's probably two parts in that we absorb those games. Like, we've played those games and we love those games, and so those games were so much a part of our writing process because we wanted to continue that. So, like, we knew those games. But I think a second part of it is that one of the reasons we love these games so much is because that's our humor too. Like, that's how we think about jokes. And so, like, we prefer this kind of humor. Like, it's not vulgar, it's not shocking, it's I would say it's smart. I think puns are smart. Yes. And you have to think about them for a second, and it's like simple, like innocent and funny. And that's the way those are the kind of jokes we tell. Those are our office jokes.
But it's difficult, and I think one of the difficult things about this series, there are movies and TV shows and video games I've played that had like, oh, this character's a bumbling guy, guide him towards his goal, and I'm just like, I really don't want to. I hate this guy. This guy's an idiot, or just like characters like, I don't think this guy should realize his dreams because he's just a total screw up. And Graham's kind of a screw up, but like you still love him. You still really, really want him to succeed. And I think that's a fine line to make somebody fallible and make someone kind of a goof, but at the same time, make you believe in him and make you feel like, no, you should be a knight. Go live your dreams, Graham.
I feel like if you're gonna cast Graham in a film, he'd be played by Jay Baruchel.
Okay.
I think we should go around and like give opinions.
Who should play him in a movie?
Yeah.
I'm okay. Michael Cera? No.
I mean, it's not a bad call.
Kyle Bossman.
Actually.
Kyle, not make a terrible
Totally.
Graham.
No, I think he'd be a great Graham.
Vin Diesel, I was thinking.
For Graham, sure.
Great. I was thinking
At
The
least one of
Rock,
these nights that we're
but yeah.
There's one, it's not a question, it's just a comment from Sazanami Style is one of our really regular viewers. He lives in Japan, and he just wanted you to know that basically, or I'll just quote him, basically I spent my childhood sick in hospital, and King's Quest allowed me to see the outside world and inspired me to learn English. Now my nephew is stuck in the hospital, and I'm going to take this new game to him, so I'm terribly grateful to the development team for the chance to do that.
Tears?
That's so sweet.
It's really nice.
Well, crying again. But that's awesome. That was a moment that helped him, and it's an opportunity to help somebody else. That's great. We love that. Only send us nice messages like that, Internet. Those are the best.
You should have a book that's like King's Quest comments that made me cry.
Yeah.
Colsey.
King's Quest. Only the nice stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All the childhood illness.
I like the on-point questions. I like the random questions. Really good questions. Are you getting better at the question wrangling?
Oh yeah.
Do you, based on like a response that you got from Nicole, were you like, I was gonna go with this question next, but maybe something else?
Yeah, because a lot of the questions you guys did answer just in your discussion initially.
What about you, Kyle? Do you get more fast and loose with the questions?
Kind of. I mean, I like to pick.
I touched on something here.
I don't want to be judgmental,
but
what's your favorite cartoon is not a question I would have picked. That's just,
that's between you and Elise.
But I think that's because I know Nicole, and I know that she'd like to tell people what her favorite cartoon is.
More people should watch
this would be
Harvey
a what's your
Birdman.
favorite cartoon kind of episode, Kyle. So that's why I asked Elise.
I feel like 12 Ounce Mouse is a show that I really hated, and then sort of liked at the end. It was real weird. Remember 12 Ounce Mouse?
Yeah. It's like a bunch of beer jokes.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I like beer. It's like,
and it was like a mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that takes me back.
This is why.
Yeah.
This is why I asked her.
I picked plenty of bad questions. I picked a lot of stinkers in my
I think
day,
that was a
for
great
sure.
question.
Yeah.
I am nervous that we
Thank
won't
you,
have
Nicole.
stuff to talk about. If we have too much to talk about, if there's just crazy questions coming at us, I'll take that over no questions.
Sure.
Speaking of having too much to talk about, we are technically over time. Really quick, I'm going to run through some stuff that you should check out. This is specifically directed at the people watching, but if you want to check out these videos too, I'm not going to stop you,
Should I
Nicole.
leave?
No, stay where you are. Don't
go,
move. No,
or-
don't.
Okay.
Stay.
Just kidding.
As we discussed, the top 10 twos goes up on Sunday. You played a game called Feist.
Yeah, that should be up now or soon.
Which that review is going up today. Which is a fun, looks like Limbo, plays like something else where you pick stuff up and throw things at people. I was curious to get Bloodworth's score on that game. Bonus round continues from QuakeCon. We have a different schedule for bonus round. We're not usually one of those goes up once a week. We're going to be releasing all of the episodes between this week and next week. The next one goes up Friday, I believe.
Actually, it goes up in the morning.
Or goes up tomorrow morning. I lied. So we have 3 more episodes from the QuakeCon recording of bonus round, and lots of obviously cool news coming out of that show. So check that out. You are currently playing Life is Strange episode 4, which I hear cuts deep. You just see a lot of people with their headline baiting, where they're just like, oh, let me tell you what I'm about to talk about from episode 4. Woo!
I was
like, I don't want it spoiled, but I kind of do.
I mean, the last one ended on a cliffhanger. I was like losing it within the first 10 minutes. It's so good.
I open up the door just to check in, like, where's Elise? And I go into the capture room. Like headphones on, back in the chair, just like. Like, are you okay? You're like, I don't even know where to begin.
But Huber's in China right now, and he's who I need here. Like,
emotionally?
yes.
China?
Yeah.
Whoa. Still in China. Speaking of Huber Hype went up this week. He was kind enough to record some episodes before he took off, and was kind enough to talk about Star Wars this week. Thank you, Huber. I didn't know one of his episodes was going to be a Star Wars episode. But he talked about the ultimate Star Wars game and what that would take. Mr. Bossman and Final Bossman this week talked about making money from sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got an idea of how to do that?
It's about building an audience.
Okay. Building an audience.
Great at it.
Do you build your audience more, or do you manage your audience more?
It's both. It's absolutely both. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, same answer.
Yeah.
The games of August, because August is rapidly approaching, will be going up on Friday, so you can check out all of the awesome games that are coming out next month. And there are some good games coming out next month. Disney Infinity 3.0.
Viva Pinata?
Yeah. Well, you can play Viva Pinata now. Rare Replay's out. When does Rare Replay come out?
August 4th.
Okay. That's an August game as well. Dragon Quest XI just got announced. We did some reactions from that. I was not included in that because I don't have one interesting thing to say about Dragon Quest other than I like the first game on the NES. But all the people that do have interesting things to say sat down and talked about it. We streamed that and we put that up. Lost Dimension is a game we want to get to eventually. That is coming out soon.
If you can find it.
Heyo!
Sorry.
I get it.
And I mentioned you're also playing Life is Strange. And Mandatory Update Nights, which has already been recorded, will be going up this weekend, which you can check out. Anything I missed? Anything else coming? I'll take that as a no. Amanda, what do you got going on? You're here.
Tell us
What's happening?
Tell us
Plug
in your
something.
Harley Quinn voice. Plug in as Harley Quinn.
Whoa.
Oh, bats. Yeah.
Chats.
Mr. J. So, Mr. J, here's what I have going on. No, I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm working on a couple of shows right now, including I'm doing a Star Trek improvised show in September where we are creating a whole new crew on a ship called the SS McGinley, I believe is what we're going to call it. And every week it's going to be like a serialized show, but it's live theater, so you have to be in Los Angeles to see it. But
So
that's
the shows
happening.
have continuity, though?
The shows have a continuity.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I'm playing a full Betazoid who was captured by the Borg. And some interesting things come from that. But I don't know. I think... and the second Batman movie that I'm in is coming out next month.
Batman Unlimited Monster Mayhem.
Yeah, Batman Unlimited Monster Mayhem.
Are you the same character?
I'm the same character.
Cool.
And and excitement happens with my character.
There's going to be an action figure of you next. That's the next step.
That'd be sweet.
I really hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope
With
so.
martini drinking action or Kane smacking it.
Yeah, or just like grumbling
action.
shaking my finger at
And if you want more updates on that, you can just watch the show because I can't shut up about my wife. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can subscribe to us on Twitch, on where you're watching right now. We also have 2 YouTube channels, youtube.com/GameTrailers and GT Reviews. You can visit GameTrailers.com. Thank you, Elise Williams. Thank you, Blood, for playing the game.
Yeah.
And any revelations going into it the second time? I love that you've been playing. This is your second time through, and this is it. This is like the last thing that I saw when I was playing. I think we just got across this river, and that was about it. So still have much more of this game to explore. But thank you for showing me the part that I'd already seen Blood. I appreciate it. Thank you, Amanda, for coming in. Thank you for Kyle for chatting it up and for sitting down at number 11. And thank you, Nicole, more than anybody.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Coming in.
Oh my god, thank you for having me.
You're managing your fans, you're managing shows, you're managing community. What do you want to plug? Okay, so you obviously plugging King's Quest.
Yeah.
And the game is launched. People can go get Chapter 1 now, or they can buy the whole thing, which I recommend. If
it's a good value.
And I don't do that often based on first chapters, but I mean, going into King's Quest, the first chapter was really like, okay, and it's like, oh, they did it. Wow, that's great. It's everything that I wanted it to be, and I can't imagine that it doesn't get better with the subsequent chapters. But specifically, as far as like events coming up with Odd Gentleman or King's Quest, or just you personally, anything we should know about?
Yeah, so I mean, like you said, it's available now, and you can play it on the PC via Steam, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, Xbox One. I think that we have a panel at PAX, and we'll be announcing more information about that soon. And just keep an eye on our community feeds for more updates. And thank everyone for playing. A lot of people are playing, and they're giving us really positive feedback, and that's why we do this. So
And people can track you down at Nicole Z, Nicole with a K.
Nicole with K.
Nicole Z.
It's not a silent K, like K-N-I, like knowledge. It's N-I-K. Want to clarify.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Jokes.
And The Odd Gentleman is the official Twitter feed.
At The Odd Gentleman.
And that's where you want to, if they have any questions.
Any questions? Yeah, if they get
or
stuck in
anything.
the game or if they want to know anything, what we're having for lunch in the office, they can find out that way.
If I just love King's Quest, am I in the community of King's Quest? Or do I
Yeah.
actually have to like tweet at you and then like now?
No,
I'm
you're
in
part of the community. Yeah, all you have to do is love King's Quest.
We're all in the community, everybody.
Yeah, feels good, right? Do we get ribbons? Bring
Wow,
it back.
okay.
Bring it
But
back.
at the show.
Yeah.
You can make a note right here. We need ribbons.
Ribbons.
for the
Don't
next
write that down,
episodes.
please.
Well, it's already written down. There's nothing
You'll
to do
get
about
a
it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you again for coming in and hanging out and playing King's Quest with us. We will see you guys next week for another GT Live. Take care.